This isn't metaphor. This isn't exaggeration. One driver took a wrong turn on a street in Sarajevo, and the entire 20th century changed. June 28, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria is visiting Sarajevo, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne. His assassination will trigger World War I. But the assassins already failed once that morning, and they would have failed completely, except for a wrong turn, a driver who didn't know the route, and a coincidence so unlikely that historians still debate whether it even happened. But this story doesn't start with Franz Ferdinand. It starts with the men who wanted him dead, and the incredibly incompetent conspiracy that somehow changed the world. The Black Hand, a Serbian nationalist terrorist organization. Their goal? Break Bosnia away from Austria-Hungary and unite it with Serbia. Their method? Assassinate the Austrian heir during his state visit to Sarajevo. They recruit 6 assassins, mostly teenagers. Most have never killed anyone. They're given bombs and pistols, minimal training, and a plan that depends entirely on luck. June 28th, Franz Ferdinand will drive along the Apel Quay, a street running beside the Miljacka River. The 6 assassins will position themselves along the route. Someone will get a clear shot. That's the entire plan. Franz Ferdinand isn't just any royal. He's the heir to one of Europe's great empires, 50 million people under Austro-Hungarian rule. And he's surprisingly liberal for his time. He wants to give Slavs more autonomy within the empire. The bitter irony? The reforms Franz Ferdinand planned would have given Bosnia exactly what the Black Hand claimed to want: more self-governance, more rights, less oppression. By killing him, they're killing their best chance at peaceful reform. Franz Ferdinand is traveling with his wife, Sophie. This detail matters. She's from minor nobility, not royalty. At official events in Vienna, she's snubbed, forced to walk behind, treated as inferior. But in Sarajevo, on this military inspection, she can ride beside him as an equal. It's one of the few times they can appear together publicly with dignity. The morning of June 28th. The 6 assassins take their positions along the Apel Quay. Their names: Muhammad Mehedbabasic, Baso Trubrilovic, Nedeljko Chabrinovic, Cvjetko Popovic, Trifko Grabej, and Gavrilo Princip. 10:15 a.m. The motorcade leaves the train station. 4 cars. Franz Ferdinand and Sophie are in the second car, an open-top Graf-and-Stift touring car. No bulletproof glass, no real security. The Archduke refused extra protection. He didn't want to appear afraid. The motorcade passes Mehedbabasic. He's the first assassin positioned along the route. He has a bomb. He freezes. Completely. Later, he'll claim a policeman was standing too close, but witnesses say there was no policeman. He just froze. The motorcade passes Trubrilovic. He's 17 years old. He also has a bomb. He also freezes. Later, he'll say he couldn't get a clear throw without hitting Sophie, but really, he's a teenager who's never killed anyone and suddenly can't go through with it. Third assassin, Nedeljko Chabrinovic, 20 years old, a printer by trade. He doesn't freeze. He pulls the detonator cap off his bomb, waits for the Archduke's car, and throws. But there's a problem. The bomb has a 10-second delay, and Chabrinovic throws it at a moving car. The driver sees something flying through the air, accelerates. The bomb bounces off the folded-down roof, rolls into the street. The bomb explodes under the third car, injures about 20 people, wounds 2 officers seriously. But Franz Ferdinand and Sophie are unharmed. Their car speeds away toward the town hall. Chabrinovic, following his instructions, swallows his cyanide pill and jumps into the river. 2 problems. The cyanide is old and only makes him vomit. The river is 4 inches deep in June. Police pull him out easily. He's arrested, vomiting and soaking wet. The motorcade speeds past the remaining 3 assassins, Popovic, Grabez, and Princip. Too fast for them to react. The bomb has failed.
All 6 assassins have either failed or been captured. The conspiracy is over. The motorcade arrives at town hall. Franz Ferdinand is furious. "I come here on a visit and I get bombs thrown at me. It's outrageous." But protocol must be observed. There are speeches, ceremonies, the boring machinery of state visits. After the ceremony, Franz Ferdinand wants to visit the wounded officers in the hospital. His security chief objects. Too dangerous, the assassins might still be out there. But Franz Ferdinand insists. "Do you think Sarajevo is full of assassins?" They decide on a new route to the hospital. Instead of going through the city center as originally planned, they'll continue straight along the Appel Quay. Fewer narrow streets, easier to secure, harder for assassins to hide. Here's where everything goes wrong. The new route is decided, but nobody tells all the drivers. The lead car knows. The Archduke's driver, Leopold Loika, apparently doesn't. Or maybe he's told but doesn't understand. The historical record is unclear. Meanwhile, Gavrilo Princip thinks the mission is over. The bomb failed. Kabranovich is captured. The Archduke got away. Princip is 19 years old, tubercular, probably has months to live. The revolution failed. He goes to get a sandwich at Moritz Schiller's delicatessen.
1:15 p.m. The motorcade leaves town hall. The plan is to go straight down the Appel Quay to the hospital. No turns, no narrow streets, just straight ahead. But at the intersection with Franz Joseph Street, the lead car turns right. It's the original route. Either the driver wasn't told about the change or forgot or misunderstood. He turns right into Franz Joseph Street. Leopold Loika, driving the Archduke's car, follows the lead car. He turns right onto Franz Joseph Street. The moment the wheels turn, the governor of Bosnia, sitting in the front seat, realizes the mistake. "This is the wrong way. We're supposed to go straight." Loika stops the car, right there in the middle of Franz Joseph Street. Puts it in reverse to back up to the Appel Quay. The car stalls. He's trying to restart it, and the car is sitting still, stopped 5 feet from the sidewalk. 5 feet away on that sidewalk, Gavrilo Princip is standing outside Moritz Schiller's delicatessen. Pure chance. He'd given up on the assassination. The Archduke's route wasn't supposed to come down this street. But here's the car, stopped, stalled, right in front of him. Princip later describes the moment. He couldn't believe it. The target he'd failed to hit that morning, the target that got away, is sitting motionless 5 feet away. He can see Franz Ferdinand clearly, see Sophie beside him. The car isn't moving. Princip draws his FN Model 1910 pistol, steps toward the car, fires twice. 2 shots from 5 feet away. He's aiming at Franz Ferdinand. One bullet hits the Archduke in the neck, the other hits Sophie in the abdomen. Franz Ferdinand stays conscious, realizes he's been shot. His first words, "Sophie, Sophie, don't die. Stay alive for the children." She's already unconscious, both of them bleeding. The car speeds to the governor's residence. Both die within the hour. Princip tries to shoot himself. The gun is wrestled away. He tries to swallow his cyanide. It only makes him vomit like Chebrinovich's did. The crowd beats him. Police pull him away. He's arrested. The investigation moves fast. Chebrinovich and Princip both talk. They name the other conspirators, reveal the Black Hand's involvement, admit to Serbian backing. Within days, Austria-Hungary has evidence of Serbian state involvement in the assassination. July 5th. Austria-Hungary decides to use the assassination as justification to crush Serbia once and for all. They seek German support. Kaiser Wilhelm II gives them a blank check, full German backing for whatever Austria decides to do. July 23rd, Austria-Hungary delivers an ultimatum to Serbia. 10 demands designed to be unacceptable. Serbia must suppress anti-Austrian propaganda, arrest everyone involved in the assassination, allow Austrian officials to participate in the investigation on Serbian soil. July 25th. Serbia accepts 9 of the 10 demands, only rejects allowing Austrian officials to operate on Serbian territory, citing sovereignty. They offer to submit the issue to international arbitration.
It's a remarkably conciliatory response. It's not enough. Austria-Hungary wanted war. They wanted to destroy Serbia. Partial compliance isn't acceptable. July 28th, exactly 1 month after the assassination, Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia. Now the alliance system kicks in. Russia is allied with Serbia, begins mobilization. Germany is allied with Austria-Hungary, tells Russia to stop mobilizing. Russia refuses. August 1st, Germany declares war on Russia. France is allied with Russia, begins mobilization. Germany demands France stay neutral. France refuses. August 3rd, Germany declares war on France. To attack France, Germany needs to go through Belgium. Belgium's neutrality is guaranteed by Britain. Germany invades Belgium anyway. August 4th, Britain declares war on Germany. In less than a week, the 2 shots fired on Franz Josef Street have pulled 6 major empires into war.
World War I will last 4 years. 70 million military personnel will be mobilized. 20 million will die. 21 million will be wounded. An entire generation of European men will be devastated. The war will destroy 4 empires: German, Austro-Hungarian, Russian, and Ottoman. It will create the conditions for the Russian Revolution, for the rise of fascism, for the economic chaos that enables Hitler's rise. World War I's punitive peace terms will directly cause World War II. The 2 wars are really one continuous conflict with a 20-year break. Total deaths from both wars, 85 million, all tracing back to 2 shots on Franz Josef Street. So what if the driver hadn't made that wrong turn? What if Leopold Leutka had gone straight down the Appelquay as planned? Princip would have been 5 blocks away eating a sandwich. No second chance, no assassination. Without Franz Ferdinand's death, would Austria-Hungary still have attacked Serbia? Maybe. They wanted to crush Serbian nationalism. But they wouldn't have had this perfect provocation, this smoking gun of Serbian involvement. And without Austrian action, Germany doesn't get pulled in. The Kaiser gave Austria a blank check specifically because of the assassination. An Austrian heir killed with Serbian weapons? That's clear grounds for war. German public opinion supported it. Would the alliance cascade still have happened eventually? Almost certainly. The system was unstable. Too many treaties committing empires to mutual defense, like a powder keg waiting for a spark. But this specific spark, on this date, that required the assassination. Other sparks could have started the war. A colonial dispute, a naval incident. The alliance system made war likely. But those other sparks might have happened years later, giving Europe time to back away from the brink or to reorganize alliances. And here's the really crucial point. Franz Ferdinand was planning major reforms. He wanted to reorganize Austria-Hungary into a federation, give more autonomy to Slavic regions, create a United States of Greater Austria. These reforms might have diffused South Slavic nationalism, given Bosnia and other regions the autonomy they wanted within the empire. The Black Hand killed the one Austrian leader who might have peacefully resolved their grievances. Without Franz Ferdinand's death, Emperor Franz Joseph stays in power until his natural death in 1916. Then Franz Ferdinand becomes emperor, implements his reforms, creates a more federal empire that might have survived the 20th century. A reformed Austro-Hungarian empire might have avoided World War I entirely, or might have stayed neutral, or might have allied differently. The specific dynamics that created the 1914 war depended partly on Austrian desire to preserve the old order. Franz Ferdinand wanted to change that order. But this didn't happen. Leopold Leutka made a wrong turn, stopped to reverse, stalled his car, and Gavrilo Princip happened to be standing there. 2 bullets, 90 seconds, and European history pivoted. Leopold Leutka, the driver, survived the war, died in 1926 at age 47. He never spoke publicly about that day, but people who knew him said it haunted him. 1 wrong turn, 1 stalled engine, and millions dead.
Gavrilo Princip was too young for the death penalty under Austrian law, sentenced to 20 years in prison, never showed remorse, considered himself a freedom fighter, not a murderer. Died of tuberculosis in prison in 1918, 3 years before his sentence would have ended. In Yugoslavia after World War II, Princip was celebrated as a hero, a freedom fighter who struck a blow against imperial oppression. There were statues, monuments, streets named after him. The spot where he fired became a shrine. After Yugoslavia's collapse in the 1990s, attitudes changed. Bosnian Muslims saw Princip differently than Bosnian Serbs did. Was he a terrorist or a freedom fighter, hero or murderer? The question still divides the region.
In 2014, the assassination centennial, Sarajevo couldn't agree on how to commemorate it. Some wanted celebrations of liberation, others wanted memorials for the dead. The city ended up doing almost nothing, too divided to have a unified narrative. Moritz Schiller's delicatessen, where Princip was standing, doesn't exist anymore. During World War II, the building was damaged, rebuilt, changed hands. For decades, there was a museum on the assassination. Now, it's a museum about the Sarajevo assassination's impact on World War I. The Latin Bridge, near where the assassination happened, still stands. There's a plaque marking the spot. Tourists visit, take photos. Most don't fully comprehend that this exact spot is where modern history pivoted. But here's the deeper question. Does it even make sense to blame one driver's mistake for World War I? Isn't that absurdly reductive? Don't wars have deep causes, not single triggers? Historians debate this constantly. Some argue the war was inevitable, that the alliance system, militarism, nationalism, and imperial rivalries made major European war unavoidable by 1914. The assassination was just the spark that happened to light the fuse. If not Franz Ferdinand, something else would have started the war. A Moroccan crisis, a Balkan incident, naval tensions between Britain and Germany. The system was primed for war. Austria and Serbia had nearly gone to war multiple times before 1914. But other historians argue nothing is inevitable. Yes, the system was unstable, but unstable systems can persist for decades, or reorganize peacefully, or find new equilibriums. This specific war, starting in August 1914, required this specific sequence of events.
Consider, without the assassination, Austria doesn't attack Serbia in July 1914. Russia doesn't mobilize. Germany doesn't feel threatened. Maybe there's another crisis in 1915 or 1916, but the specific actors, alliances, and technologies are different. Maybe that crisis is resolved peacefully. Or maybe war happens, but later, when military technology has changed, machine guns become more sophisticated, aircraft play a bigger role. The character of the war is completely different. Different tactics, different casualties, different outcomes. One crucial factor in 1914, railroad mobilization schedules. Once Germany or Russia started mobilizing, stopping was nearly impossible. The logistics were too complex, millions of men moving on precise schedules. This inflexibility made the crisis spiral out of control. Another factor, communication technology. Leaders could telegraph each other, but couldn't have real-time conversations, couldn't read body language, couldn't negotiate complex compromises quickly. The July crisis happened too fast for diplomacy to keep up. If the crisis had happened 5 years later, would telephone diplomacy have made a difference? Would aircraft reconnaissance have changed military planning? Would different leaders have been in power with different attitudes? Because personalities mattered enormously in 1914. Kaiser Wilhelm II was impulsive and insecure. Franz Joseph was old and rigid. Russian Tsar Nicholas II was weak and indecisive. Different personalities in these roles might have made different decisions. And Franz Ferdinand's personality mattered. He was more flexible than Franz Joseph, more willing to reform, more open to compromise with Slavic nationalism. His death removed a moderating influence from Vienna at the worst possible time. Even Sophie's presence mattered. Some historians argue Franz Ferdinand was more relaxed in Sarajevo because Sophie could ride beside him there, more willing to take risks, more exposed. If she hadn't been there, would security have been tighter? So many coincidences had to stack up. The Black Hand had to recruit assassins. Austrian security had to be lax. The first bomb had to fail. The route change had to be decided but not communicated. The driver had to make that specific wrong turn. The car had to stall. Princip had to be standing exactly there. What are the odds? If you calculate the probability of each individual coincidence and multiply them together, you get astronomical odds. This specific sequence of events happening on this specific day was incredibly unlikely.
But it happened. History is full of these incredibly unlikely sequences. We remember them because they had huge consequences. We forget the millions of near misses, the coincidences that almost happened but didn't, the accidents that almost changed history but got interrupted. Like, what if Chabranovich's bomb had been thrown 1 second later? Direct hit on Franz Ferdinand's car, both killed instantly. Same outcome, different mechanism. Or what if the bomb's delay had been 5 seconds instead of 10? Explodes while still in the air, kills the Archduke, no need for Princip's second chance. Or what if Austrian intelligence had been better? They knew the Black Hand was planning something. They had informants. What if they'd arrested the assassins before June 28th? Or what if Franz Ferdinand had canceled the visit? He'd been advised it was dangerous. Every one of these points is a moment where human decision or human error mattered. The driver who turned wrong, the security chief who allowed an open car, the German Kaiser who gave Austria carte blanche, the Serbian officials who didn't stop the Black Hand. So was it one driver's mistake that caused World War I? Or was it a complex system of alliances, rivalries, and tensions that made war inevitable? The answer is probably both. The system created the conditions. Individual choices determined the timing and specifics. Could Leopold Loika have prevented World War I by not making that wrong turn? In one sense, yes. Without that turn, no assassination that day. Maybe no assassination ever. Maybe Franz Ferdinand lives, becomes emperor, reforms the empire, avoids war. But in another sense, no. If the system was primed for war, something else would have triggered it. Loika's mistake didn't create the tensions between Austria and Serbia, didn't create the German-Russian rivalry, didn't create the alliance system, didn't create militarism and nationalism. Historians distinguish between deep causes and immediate triggers. The deep causes of World War I, imperial rivalry, nationalism, militarism, the alliance system, colonial competition, naval arms races. These created the conditions for war. The immediate trigger, Franz Ferdinand's assassination. This provided the specific provocation that started this specific war at this specific time. You need both. Deep causes without a trigger just create tension. A trigger without deep causes doesn't start major wars. We see this today. The Middle East has deep causes of conflict: religious tensions, colonial legacy, oil wealth, authoritarian governments. But specific wars require specific triggers: an assassination, an invasion, a protest that spirals out of control. The lesson isn't that individual actions don't matter. It's that they matter most in systems already under tension. In stable systems, wrong turns are just wrong turns. In unstable systems, wrong turns can cascade into catastrophes. The 1914 system was incredibly unstable. 2 massive alliance blocks, arms races, mobilization plans that couldn't be stopped once started. Leaders who believed war was inevitable. It was a system designed to turn small crises into large wars. Contrast this with earlier 19th century crises. The Concert of Europe system used to prevent major wars through diplomacy. When crises happened, great powers negotiated, compromised, found face-saving solutions. By 1914, that system had broken down. Why? Too many players.
Germany upset the balance by industrializing rapidly and building a navy to rival Britain's. The Ottoman Empire was collapsing, creating power vacuums. Nationalism was rising, making compromise harder. The diplomatic tools that worked in 1850 didn't work in 1914. The Balkan Wars of 1912 to 1913 were warning signs. Serbia doubled in size. Austria felt threatened. Russia supported Serbian expansion. Germany backed Austria. It was a dress rehearsal for World War I, but the great powers managed to keep it localized, just barely. Everyone knew the next Balkan crisis might not stay localized. Austrian and Russian officials wrote memos saying the next Serbian incident would mean war. German generals had war plans ready. Russian mobilization schedules were set. When Franz Ferdinand was killed, the system activated like a machine.
The mobilization mechanics deserve emphasis. Once Russia began mobilizing, Germany felt forced to mobilize. But German war plans required attacking France first before Russia could fully mobilize. So German mobilization meant immediate attack on France through Belgium, which brought Britain in. The Schlieffen Plan, Germany's strategy for fighting a two-front war. It required winning in France quickly before Russia could attack in the east. Everything depended on speed, on railroad timetables, on getting through Belgium fast. The plan left no room for diplomacy once started. German Chief of Staff Helmuth von Moltke was asked if mobilization could be directed only against Russia, not France. His answer? Impossible. The entire war plan was built around the Belgium route. Changing it would mean chaos. So once mobilization started, war with France was automatic. This is the tragedy of 1914. Leaders lost control. They'd built a system so rigid that once activated, it couldn't be stopped. Wilhelm II reportedly said in August 1914, "If only someone had told me beforehand that it would come to this." But the system he'd helped build gave him no choice. So, returning to Leopold Leuke's wrong turn, did it cause the war? It caused this war, this specific sequence, these specific alliances activating in this order. A different trigger might have produced a different war with different participants and outcomes. The historical answer is uncomfortable. Yes and no. Yes, without this specific event, this specific war doesn't happen in August 1914. No, because the system was so unstable that some war was likely. The wrong turn mattered enormously, and hardly at all, depending on your perspective. But the human story remains compelling. A driver made a wrong turn, stalled his car. A young man with months to live happened to be standing there. 2 shots and millions died. It's almost too neat, too much like a novel. History isn't supposed to pivot on such tiny accidents. Yet it did. Or it seems like it did. We can't rerun history, can't test the counterfactual, can't know what would have happened if Leuke had gone straight. Maybe a different crisis triggers war in 1915. Maybe tensions ease and war never comes. We can't know. What we do know, on June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo, a series of improbable coincidences led to Franz Ferdinand's death. That death triggered a crisis. That crisis activated the alliance system. That system produced World War I, 100 million casualties, the collapse of 4 empires, the seeds of World War II. Wrong turn, stalled car, 2 shots, war declaration, alliance activation, global mobilization, trenches, gas, machine guns, tanks, aircraft, millions dead, empires fallen, new nations born, new ideologies rising, Russian Revolution, rise of fascism, World War II, Cold War, the entire 20th century. It's the butterfly effect on a massive scale. A small change in initial conditions produces enormous differences in outcomes. Did the butterfly cause the hurricane? In one sense, yes, it was the trigger. In another sense, no, the hurricane required much larger atmospheric conditions. So did one commander's mistake really trigger the deadliest war in history? The deadliest war in history at that point was World War I.
Leopold Loika wasn't a commander, just a driver. But yes, his mistake created the opportunity for Franz Ferdinand's assassination, and that assassination triggered World War I.
The honest answer? The mistake was necessary, but not sufficient. Without it, maybe no war in 1914, but the deep causes remained. The unstable system, the alliance commitments, the rigid war plans, the nationalism, the militarism, those would have found another trigger eventually. But this trigger, at this time, with these specific circumstances, produced this specific war with these specific consequences. And those consequences shaped everything that followed. The 20th century we got was directly shaped by what happened on Franz Joseph Street. Today, there's a plaque on a building in Sarajevo. It marks where Gavrilo Princip stood, where he fired 2 shots that changed the world. Tourists take photos. Most don't fully grasp that they're standing at a pivot point of history. One wrong turn, one stalled car, one young man with a pistol, and 85 million people died as a result. Did one mistake really trigger it all? Maybe, probably, as much as any one thing triggers something so vast. The wrong turn didn't cause the tensions, but it released them. And once released, they consumed the world. History is full of moments like this, small choices that cascade into enormous consequences. We remember them because of what followed. We forget the thousands of near misses, the wrong turns that didn't matter, the assassinations that failed, the accidents that didn't change anything. But this one did, or seems to have, and that's what makes it unforgettable.